Welcome back to Pleasant Grove Sports Network for the final game that we will cover tonight from Hoopfest, one of the best basketball rivalries in the state. Definitely one of the best in high school basketball. The Pleasant Grove Vikings versus the, I believe, Knights of Lone Peak. We are unable to have rosters at the moment as our one computer is occupied with the scoreboard at the bottom of the screen. We apologize if anybody listening or watching currently watched either of our either two streams. Earlier today, we are unable to change the Pleasant Grove section of the scorebug. So to avoid it being confusing, we just left it off the screen, but we have it now. It is Viking basketball versus the Knights of Lone Peak, the best rivalry in the state. 24 minutes of basketball upcoming here in Hoopfest. Getting ready for the tip-off. We expect a good fight today from both sides. No idea what's going to happen. I know that the Vikings are excited and ready for this game. Everybody in the Pleasant Grove area is excited when the Lone Peak Knights come to town. Arguably, the only time they get more excited is when they get the chance to go to Lone Peak and beat them at their house. A decent chunk of Lone Peak fans, not as many as the Pleasant Grove fans. Opening tip-off goes the Vikings' way, and we are underway here in Pleasant Grove. As the first Viking shot in and out, Lone Peak comes away with the rebound. Bringing it up the court now, Zero kicks it out, 32 on the wing. Gets it stolen away on the fast break. Vikings layup, too hard off the glass. Whistle blows, foul called. As shooting for the Vikings, number 4. Once again, do not have rosters for the moment. We are waiting on potentially a second computer, which at this point seems unlikely at best. Hits the first free throw. Gives the Vikings the first points of the game. As scoreboard difference a little bit. Second shot in and out. Lone Peak gets the board. Gets it up the court quickly. Working against some good Viking defense. The other two games today featuring a lot of full court press. So far not as much from the Vikings. Lob up the middle, dunk. Lone Peak answers back, getting the quick dunk up 2-1. Vikings down early on their home court against their rival, trying to get something going. Loses the dribble, taken away Lone Peak. Moving it up the court quickly, layup, too hard off the glass. Foul called, I believe on the shot, as that will be Lone Peak free throws. Working on getting our time right on the scoreboard at the bottom of the screen. Shooting for Lone Peak, number 2. First free throw up and good. As a different Lone Peak night, forgot that it was 2 shots, acted like it was a one-and-one, went to get the board. Love to see the hustle on the sideline of Lone Peak if you are the coach. Second free throw, good. Vikings get it in the hands of number 1 off of the inbound pass. Ollie down low, quick layup. Vikings good off the glass. Vikings get it, 4-3 the score. Lone Peak working on an answer, shakes the defender, three, good! Lone Peak from deep. 7-3 the score. Vikings looking for an answer in the hands of number 1. I feel like we should know our own guys. Ollie down low, too hard off the glass. Unable to fall. Vikings down 4. Lone Peak, another 3. Good! He is on fire! Lone Peak 10, Vikings 3. Vikings answer with a layup. Good off the glass. Vikings 5. Cut the lead in half with that layup. Lone Peak get it back in the hands of the hot shooter, looking for his spot on the dribble handoff. 3. Big man. Good! Maybe it's the spot on the court. 3 consecutive threes from the Knights from that same one spot. And they are up 8 early in this game. Vikings finding a way to get it down low to Ollie, working in the post, gets it poked away right to another Viking. Shakes his defender deep 2, good! Vikings make it a 6-point game. So far, both offenses trading blows. Lone Peak 3s, Vikings 2s. Looking for any form of a stop on defense. Another Lone Peak 3, foul called, and 1! What a shot from the Lone Peak guard, number 2. Off the screen, gets the 3 up and the foul, gets it to fall somehow. A miraculous shot from the Knights. Up by 9, looking to make it 10 with the and 1. Facing the Viking student section in the baseline. Doesn't even matter, hits the second free throw. Gives the Knights the 10-point lead. The biggest deficit that we have seen being PGSN today. Vikings looking for any form of an answer. Errant pass sails right out of bounds. Lone Peak forcing a turnover with the great defense there. Vikings can't get anything other than 7 points going on the offensive side of the ball. Faring a little better on the defensive side. Not doing as well against the screens. Good job not getting sealed by the Viking defender. Number 32 drives, gets the foul called against number 2 for Lone Peak. His first foul. Vikings will get it on the sideline. Looking for an inbounder. Here he comes. Lone Peak pulling out a little bit of a full court press. Get it to the big man in the high post, working it around on the dribble handoff. The drive from the junior forward, gets it back. Vikings on the drive, blocked at the rim. Vikings come away with it following the block. The dribble, Hezzy off the foot, dive for it. Lone Peak comes away with it, push it up the court, one-on-one, drive, off the glass, met by the defender. Foul on Lone Peak. Great defensive stop from the Vikings, number 1. Meeting his man at the rim, getting, I believe, the block on that play. Huge, huge defensive play from the Vikings. Lone Peak starting out in a full court press, lightening it to a simple half court press. Vikings get it into the center. Ollie out far away from the basket. Runs it clear, gets it into the hands of number 1. Trying to get something going on the offensive side, only having 7 points. Off the back iron on the 3. Would have been big. Lone Peak playing with some pace in the fast break, getting it out quickly. Bucket there, makes it 19 for Lone Peak. Vikings answer with some tempo of their own, got it up court quickly. Lone Peak defense stopped them from doing anything else. Up and under, off the back of the rim, no good. Lone Peak, the sharp shooter, deep 3, heat check, way off. Foul called against number 5 for Lone Peak. Should be his second of the game. Vikings get possession following the foul. As a pair of substitutions, 11 and 0 coming in for 1 and 4 for the Vikings. We again would like to apologize. Typically, we have 2 computers, one that can run the scoreboard and one that can pull up rosters. Right now, we are operating with only one, cannot do all 3 at the same time on one computer. So we are picking 3. We're picking 3. As I was saying, we're picking scoreboard over numerical rosters, so we will continue to refer to these players by their number. Not what we want to be doing either. I would much rather be saying names, but it's what we'll be going with. Foul called on number 11 for the Vikings. Number 4 for Lone Peak. Secretly, the number 40, he has duct tape over half of the number to make it 4 instead of 40-something. Unimportant to the game, just something I noticed and thought it was fun. 3, good! Lone Peak from deep, on fire to start this game. I don't think they've missed, including the foul. Up by 12. Vikings trying to get something going against this ferocious defense. Trying to find his man down low, couldn't get anything going. Lone Peak defender playing a little aggressive down low. Corner 3, off target. Vikings can't hit a shot, and there's a foul on 32. That is big and not what you want for the Vikings. He was trying to get the steal, ends up hitting nothing but forearm as the Vikings call their first timeout, down by 12, 1:43 left in the first quarter. Coming back from the Vikings timeout, the defense for the Vikings has not been able to stop the three-point attack from Lone Peak, nor has the offensive side of the ball been able to do anything. Foul called there on number 11, going against number 0 for Lone Peak, as that has been a big part of the Lone Peak offense. Force contact and put the Viking defender in no-win situations where, regardless of what he does, it's giving up points in some way, either on the free throw line or from just giving up the layup. The first free throw missing from Lone Peak. Vikings looking to get the board off of the miss and hope to put an end to the Lone Peak domination to this point. Lone Peak playing in an aggressive full court press. Foul called on 32 for Lone Peak. Vikings will get it at the half court line. Correction, the Vikings in the bonus will be shooting 1 and 1. And there will be free throws guaranteed from here on out for the Vikings. That is huge and very important As the first free throw falls, Vikings cut it down to an 11-point lead, cut it in half, but they also need to replicate everything they've done on offense while giving up none on defense. Not an easy task, especially against a very good Lone Peak team. Lone Peak 6A, Vikings, the former 6A school, dropping down, unfortunately, this year to 5A. Pulling out the 3-2 full court press. Lone Peak flustered almost at 8 seconds. Deep three, off target long. Vikings get the board for a second, throw it right back to Lone Peak. Deep two, too hard off the back iron. Vikings get the board. Pushing it up the court. Lone Peak gets the defense set before the Vikings can get it over the half court line. Vikings shot short, foul called. 2 shots coming for the Vikings. 54.2 seconds left in the game. Jackson Brown shooting. Name courtesy of the public address announcer in the stadium. Jackson Brown hits the first free throw, makes it 13-22. Second free throw from Jackson off the rim. Bit of a brawl going on for the board. A Viking fell to the ground. Lone Peak coming away with it. 46 seconds and counting in the quarter. Lone Peak a big lead most of the game. Vikings locking in on defense here late in the quarter. The drive, layup, left it short. Vikings get the board and push it. They have a 4-on-3 up court. The bad pass finds its target somehow up and under. Fouled on the shot. What did I just witness? The bad full court pass somehow found the Viking. He went up with it, got fouled. Jackson again getting the shot up at the free throw line now. 26.1. The shot clock has turned off in the stadium. The first free throw good off of his hand. As some of the Lone Peak faithful making the fairly short drive down to Pleasant Grove. I believe it's only 10 minutes or so from or between campuses. Either way, more Viking fans here, hopeful to take down their big rival today. One of, if not their biggest. You can hear them making noise in support of their squad. Almost the whole JV team is here, rooting on some of their older brothers and some of their future teammates on this varsity squad. Lone Peak getting smothered for 3-2 layup, good. 1 second left. Vikings won't get the shot off in time. Wouldn't have counted had it gone in. Wasn't close anyway. Lone Peak up by 9 at the end of the first quarter, 24-15. Back out of the quarter break. Vikings hoping the defensive adjustments work. Down by 9, 24-15. Lone Peak with the ball, trying to add on to their lead. The three almost taken. Traveling called up and down. Thought it was a little close. The coaching staff saw it. Officials called it. Vikings force a turnover, get it on the baseline, bringing it up the court. Getting ready to run the offense. Looks like Lone Peak is running the 2-3 zone. We saw this happen earlier today. The best way to beat a zone is passes. Foul, I believe, on the ground, called against number 3. They gave it to him on the shot. 2 free throws. Number 3's second foul of the game. 32 shooting for the Vikings. The first shot up and good. Adds an extra point, makes it an 8-point deficit. Vikings so far finding an answer on the defensive side of the ball. Forced the up and down with the good defense on the first defensive stop. Looking to get another one. Second free throw good. 17-24 the score. Vikings with a mini full court press. Lone Peak had more players down here than the Vikings did. Bad Lone Peak shot off. Vikings push it up the court quickly. 0 off the glass. Good, and the foul! Show you that again off of the miss. Vikings get the board, the good leak out, kick it up the court. Gets the hoop and the hung. Bucket falls, shooting the and one. Vikings looking to break 20. This would be a big free throw and a great way for the Vikings to get back in this one. It seemed like they were down and out early. Lone Peak at one point was up 22 to less than 10. Vikings claw it back 20-24. The scorer, never mind. The Vikings defense looking to stop the aggressive Lone Peak offense. It's at corner 3. No good. Vikings getting the board, and that has been the key so far, getting the defensive rebounds. And that will not help. Threw it right to the Lone Peak defender, looking for the man on the post entry. Blocked! Vikings getting the big block. Corner 3, Lone Peak off the back iron. Fighting for the offensive rebound. Goes the way of Lone Peak. Big block on the by the defense, number 4. Big block. Pass tipped by the Vikings, number 3. Step back 3, good. Number 32 for Lone Peak hits the bucket. Makes it 27-20. Vikings pass hit out of bounds. 32 is there again. Vikings subbing in number 32 for number 0. Looking to get points on this possession. Keep it close against what is a really, really good Lone Peak team. The Knights make a substitution of their own in response to the Vikings. Waiting the inbound pass. Vikings get it in cleanly, number 1. 32-3 off the back iron. Lone Peak comes away with it. Vikings defense gets set. Had the corner 3 for a second. Lone Peak resets on the wing. The drive, almost travel, step back, spin, no good. Vikings come away with it. Foul called. Good job by the Vikings, number 5, Ollie, and number 1, able to get there first and get the ball. Foul called on, I believe, 32 again. Correction, number 3, his third personal foul early into this game. 5:56 left in the half. He subs out in foul trouble. Vikings with the aggressive play style on defense. So far, it's been the answer. Lone Peak not expecting it. Vikings looking to score Obviously get it down low. Shot no good. Foul called on number 5. He disagrees with the call. Everybody else here likes it. Excuse me, poor timing for a hiccup. That is number 5's third personal foul. Vikings increasing the aggressiveness, the strategy working. Lone Peak being put in no-win situations, being forced to commit fouls. First free throw off the rim and out. Looked like it had a chance for a second. Falls out, no points. Second free throw, good. This is not whose line is it anyway. The points very much matter. Vikings down 6, a 2-possession game. Almost a backcourt violation. Good catch by number 4 to not throw it into the backcourt. Could have been very, very bad for the Knights. Get the switch off of the essential dribble handoff. Tip on the drive. Vikings come away with it. Pushing it up the court with the tempo. Wing, corner, fake, drive. Travel called. The students disagree. Coaching staff seemed to be okay with the call. I personally didn't see it. Maybe took a pivot step on accident and then went on a drive with his other foot before he dribbled. 3, Lone Peak wide open. Good. Can't give him that much space on the perimeter. Lone Peak breaks 30. Vikings barely over 20. Hit out of bounds off of a Knight. Stays with the Vikings. Down 9, 4:49 left to play. Vikings putting up a good fight. Need to get the threes to start to fall. Inbound deep, 1-11, back to 132. Down to Ollie, number 5, up 1. Faked the 3. Drive blocked by Lone Peak. The Knights push it up the court quickly. Hit out of bounds. Blocked on the way up. 32. Show you a replay of that. The Lone Peak block on this side. The Viking block on the other side going up. Lone Peak trying to draw the foul. 32 not biting. Spoke to him at the Vikings media days a couple of days, more like a week and a half ago. He was very confident coming in about his defense. Ollie getting the board there. Looked like he got hit on the way up, loses it. Lone Peak comes away with it on the drive. Dangerous stop there. Lone Peak 3, good. And just like that, you have a 12-point game again. Vikings looking to beat the Lone Peak zone. They have it set up the right way. You need the forward on the travel called. Viking fans and coaches disagree. The few Lone Peak sections on that side, as you can see, very happy with the call on the play. Lone Peak gets it in. Vikings in the full court press, trying to trap the Knights, maybe force an 8-second violation. Lone Peak gets it up. Corner 3, short off the rim. Whistle blows. Foul on 32 for the Knights. Vikings get it. Just an error you cannot make in that situation. Trying to fight for it. His second foul. Hooked the Viking player. Pushed him back. Textbook foul on a rebound, as it will stay with the Vikings. We're 1 shooting free throws. Vikings in the double bonus. It will be free throws the rest of the way following Lone Peak fouls. Gets the first to fall, cuts it back to 11. This may remind some fans of the throwback reference here, BYU versus Gonzaga games, where it felt like BYU could keep it close, couldn't quite take the lead when it mattered most. Vikings hoping to avoid such an outcome today. Working on the full court press, almost gets the trap in the corner. Vikings get a hand on the pass. Lone Peak recovers. Vikings get it on the steal. 32 wanted a foul, couldn't get the call. Vikings push it up the court quickly. Tipped on the way up. Lone Peak pushing it quickly. Tempo from both sides. Corner three, wing three, wide open. No good. Looked like an air ball. Lone Peak able to save it for a sec. And that is a blatant foul by 4. I don't know what he's trying to argue. From here, I can see the shove. Good dive by 4 for the Vikings. That is number 4's third foul for Lone Peak. 3 players with 3+ fouls already for the Knights. Not how anybody wants to start. Good effort from the Viking defense. 4 shooting free throws off the back iron. In comes number 1, replacing number 4 in foul trouble. 3 minutes left in the half. Vikings down 10. Looking to make it a 3-score game if this free throw falls. It does. Vikings down 9. 3 threes and 3 stops the math. But that is a lot easier said than done. Especially when Lone Peak is shooting the lights out as they have been tonight. Especially that man. 2, contested 3, almost fell. Fight for the board, ends up with Lone Peak for a sec. The putback falls short. Vikings come away with it. 32, bringing it up the court. Hard screen from number 5 at the top. Vikings working it around. Almost lose it. Lone Peak called for the reach in on number 2. His second foul of the game. Vikings at the free throw line again. 2:24 left in the half. Number 11 shooting the free throws for the Vikings. Gets the first to fall, makes it an 8-point game. That same math from earlier would now give the Vikings a small 1-point lead. Second free throw good. You can hear the Lone Peak fans trying to distract the Vikings. I say fans, that was more one guy screaming his lungs out. Vikings with the press. Lone Peak able to beat it multiple times. Vikings up, whistle out off of the Vikings. Stays with Lone Peak. The Knights make a sub. 10 comes in for 5. As 2 will take the inbound on the baseline. Vikings looking to set the defense against the inbound pass from Lone Peak. They get it into the corner. Vikings look to trap. Lone Peak able to get it out. Working against the good Viking defense. 10 seconds left in the shot clock. 5, 4, Lone Peak drive, shot, foul called and 1. Lone Peak sideline loving what they're seeing right now from their squad. Number 1 with the bucket. The third foul on number 11 for the Vikings. He checks out for a moment. In comes number 3 and number 0. First free throw, good. Well, first the and one, rather, good for the Knights. Back out to 10. Vikings looking for an answer. They've cut it close a couple of times, haven't led all game. That's not true. They had the first point of the game, and since then it has been all Lone Peak. Went on a quick run, that 3 short. Lone Peak able to get the bucket, the board rather. Working on the drive, foul called. I believe this will be against the Vikings. Number 2 for Lone Peak has been phenomenal with the ball in his hand. Yes, foul on number 32, his second of the game. Lone Peak gets it out of bounds. Corner 3, faked drive. Contested shot off the rim, short, goes to Lone Peak for a second. Corner three, flyby. Air balls off of the flyby. Gets the bucket off of the board anyway. Vikings get it up the court quickly. Vikings fake the three, get it down low. Pass gets stolen. Lone Peak on the break. They have numbers 3-on-3, the drive. Good defense from the Vikings. Good defense again, cannot buy a rebound. And foul called by the official on the baseline. 2 free throws, fouls called on number 1 for the Vikings. Lone Peak shooting 2 shots, looking to break 40 with 47.9 seconds left in the game. Get the first free throw to fall. Vikings playing some great defense until the foul. Stop to Lone Peak buckets. Just unable to get the board. The second free throw airballed. And you can hear the Viking students letting him know it. I expect that call, or that chant rather, will show up constantly throughout this game. 40 seconds left in the half. Down low. Looked like a pass, maybe a shot got blocked. Either way, Vikings get it. Good shot attempt by the Vikings. Number 5, 32 called with the foul. His third of the game. The foul trouble for the Knights is unthinkable coming into this game. At least 4 players with 3 fouls early into this game. The first free throw off the mark, long from the Vikings. The second free throw for the Vikings pending. Out go number 1 and number 32. In comes 21 and I believe 4. Second Viking free throw. No good. Out of bounds off of Lone Peak. The players and the fans on that side disagreeing with the call. Only got a quick breather, but in comes 32 again, replacing 21. Vikings looking to get points. The shot clock is turned off. Vikings looking to get points to cut into the Lone Peak lead at halftime. I believe Lone Peak gets it coming out of the break. Vikings have it, 27 seconds left and counting. Vikings appear to try to be playing for the last shot of the half. Momentum going into halftime can be a big thing for a team. 10 seconds in the half. I wouldn't expect anything to happen until now. 5 seconds left. Vikings drive net. Blocked on the way up. Lone Peak, the half-court heave. No good off the backboard, and that will take us to halftime. Lone Peak up by 13, 39-26 in Valhalla for Hoopfest. Sorry about that issue with the screen. Not sure what happened there. Either way, we have it sorted out now. As joining me for special commentary in the third quarter, the Viking Principal Hanks. How are you doing today, sir?
Hey, Coleman, I'm great. It's great to be up here with you. This is a bucket list thing for me to be able to be on the call with you guys.
Yeah, it's an honor to have you up here with us.
Yeah.
The quick Viking shot in and out. We saw at the end of towards the middle of the second quarter, the Vikings figured something out on defense. They temporarily stalled Lone Peak's offense, so they get the bucket there. What have you seen throughout this game that could be the key for the Vikings on defense to climbing back into this one and stopping the ferocious Lone Peak offense?
Yeah, they're in the middle of the second quarter. PG really stepped up their defense, pulled within 7, I think, if I remember right. And then Lone Peak got a couple of three-point plays, an and one, and Lone Peak, they're shooting it from 3 pretty well. They got off to a quick start in the first quarter there. I
don't believe number 2, Saxon Young, has missed a 3 yet, and if he has, it's come off of a lot of contact.
Yeah, he's one you got to stay on him, get a hand up whenever he's shooting.
We talked about what the Vikings can do to fight back in this. What have you seen from Lone Peak that could be the key to them getting back into it? Or not getting back into it, running away with it and shoring up the victory against the Vikings?
Well, I think with PG, what I've seen is smart passes, good passes, not sloppy, not careless, and then looking for a good shot. I think PG's taken a lot of shots that have been maybe not high percentage shots, and so patient, pass the ball, good passes. But man, Lone Peak's defense is pretty stifling, so those good passes have to be even more precise and thoughtful.
You mentioned the good passes. Lone Peak, as we see now, runs a 2-3 zone a lot more than any other school that I've seen in the state, at least at the high school level. One of the key ways that you can beat the zone, deep 3, in and out Vikings. As I was saying, one of the ways to beat the zone is passing it around the key and overloading one side of the court to make a defender make a decision. Hopefully the Vikings can execute on that a lot more coming down the line. We saw them do it during that brief run during the second quarter, but for the moment it is paused for the Vikings. Errant pass there. Jackson Brown off target. Lone Peak pushing it up the court just over Vikings defenders. Gets the bucket. Number 5, Camden Broadhead, right over Oliver Mosman. His, I believe, sister, Ruby, a sophomore on the girls squad. Very good basketball family. Vikings get the corner 3. Jackson Brown from the corner. That is exactly what you were talking about a moment ago, Principal Hanks. The Vikings finding the open shot, passing it around, good passes, opened up that corner 3.
Yeah, and what you needed to see to start the third quarter, if you're PG, was come out with some points and some stops, and that's just not what happened. And so a manageable halftime lead got up to 20. And then that 3 cut them back closer to 17. And so we'll see if they can continue that. If PG wants to get back in it, that's what needs to happen.
And if they want to get back in it, it's not quite do or die yet, but it's getting to that point. 5.5 left in the third. Generally 13.5 left in the game. Down by a lot. The fake pass, 3, good! On the wing, number 32, Brennan Blackett.
And Brennan can step up and lead this team. He, as a junior last year, as a sophomore, he played great. This year, though, he's really grown into a leadership role on the team. This first game against Syracuse last week and tonight, he's got to step it up and be a leader on the team with scoring, because that's what he can do.
We spoke to him during the basketball team media days about a week and a half ago, and he told me he was very confident coming into the season in his defensive abilities. Said there was a little bit he needed to work on the offensive side. 3, air ball from the Vikings. A rare error from Jackson Brown from deep. Not what you need now. Vikings have it down to 15. That could have made it 12 and added onto the momentum big time. The alley-oop off target, too hard. Vikings had the man push it up the court, wide open lane, off the glass, good!
Great passing. That's what needs to happen. Passing, quick movement, get an easy shot, especially in transition.
Preston White scoring on the play for the Vikings. We were able to, at halftime, find a second computer and load rosters. It should be a lot better second half for us than it was the first. Hopefully on the court has the same result. Vikings trying out the 2-3 zone, rubbing it right back into Lone Peak's face, seeing how well they do. The lob down low temporarily taken away from the Vikings. The corner three, good! Jaden Hughes, I believe, shooting for the Knights. Correction, Crew Fotheringham. Thank you, Principal Hanks, for the correction. Vikings, errant pass. Not the thing that you need most right now. On the drive, foul, bucket not good. I believe Skylar Andrioli for Lone Peak.
And you can see what Lone Peak is trying to do. They got their foot on the gas. They're trying to score quick. They're being aggressive. They're trying to put this away as soon as they can. And PG just trying to hold on and make it close for a chance in the fourth quarter.
Vikings call their first time out of the second half, their second of the game, 3 left down the stretch, down big, 51-34, 3 minutes and 20 seconds left in the third quarter. Out of the Vikings timeout, shooting for Lone Peak, Crew Fotheringham at the line, wearing duct tape over the second number. I checked if there was a 40 listed on Max Preps, and there was not. So we will go off of Crew Fotheringham for the Knights. I believe that's correct. He's listed at 6'9" on Max Preps. Doesn't look any shorter than that in real life.
Yeah, and the 4, to his credit, that black duct tape does really good, matches up with the jersey pretty well.
It took me a second to notice. I just thought it was off-centered until some moment happened on the wing on the opposite end during that first half. When I noticed it started to reflect off his jersey. Some confusion drying the court on this side after the huddle at halftime, or at the timeout rather. Vikings, I believe the foul called on Preston White, his 4th of the game, could be big for the Vikings. First free throw falls from Crew Fotheringham. I almost said Featheringham.
Yeah, Fotheringham. He has an older brother that played at Lone Peak a year or 2 ago, I believe.
The second free throw, good. Had a chance to bounce out, falls. Knights up 19, 34-52. Vikings looking for an answer. Go up, get it around. Oliver Mosman denied on the way up. Camden Broadhead with the block. Crew working one-on-one, drives, gets stuck for a second, gets it down to Camden. No shot, foul called on the ground. Oliver Mosman, I believe, called for the foul. His first of the game.
And Oliver's tough. He's not going to back down from that banging inside. He may not be as tall as some of those guys, but he's going to stand his ground. Picked up a foul there, but that's the kind of defense I think you want to see out of him.
It's exactly what you're looking for. One thing to watch for coming down the stretch, the foul trouble for Lone Peak. Early in this game, I believe at least 4 players have picked up 3 fouls or more on the Lone Peak side. As Preston White for the Vikings has 4. That shot from Lone Peak off. Crew unable to find it. The steal from Saxon Young. Corner 3, off target. Fight for the board, stays in bounds. Saxon with it on the baseline. Moving it around the wing, calling the clear out. Wants to go one-on-one against Oliver Mosman. Gets the 3 up, off the iron and in.
He is on fire tonight.
Hit just about everywhere but in before it falls. Saxon Young from 3 tonight is unstoppable. Vikings try to answer, thought about the 3. Oliver hits it down low. That looked like that should have been a goaltend. Foul called, I believe, on the Knights of Lone Peak. Foul called number 32. His 4th, Brennan Blackett.
No,
I'm looking at the wrong side.
Yeah,
Thank you. Logan Brimhall.
So that's 4. He looks like he'll sit down.
He will be out for, if you're a Vikings fan, you hope for a while. 9:48 left, 4 fouls is a long time to play when you're that far in foul trouble. 1 more and he's gone for the night. Vikings working it around the Knights. Oliver gets it taken away. Saxon with it, bringing it up the court. Working against number 0, Ashton Palmer. The 3, good! You cannot stop Saxon from deep.
Yeah, even with the hand in his face, he is just feeling it tonight.
One of those nights where nothing you can do is going to stop Saxon unless you're playing inside his jersey, and even then it might not be enough. Viking 3, too hard off the back iron. Lone Peak comes away with it. Number 3, Skylar Andrioli gives it up. I almost said Saxon Young didn't scroll far enough up. The tip in, no good. Lone Peak get their own board and the putback. 55 seconds and counting left in the 3rd quarter. Just now noticing we did not start our clock following the Viking timeout. It still says 1:48. Vikings get it in the corner, drive, kick to the wing, almost got tipped. Great play by Skylar Andrioli for the Knights. Putting a hand up, made the Vikings think that he was going to tip it, pulls it back, sails right out of bounds, no Viking catching it. That is a Lone Peak basketball up big, 61-34, 41 and a half seconds left. Bringing it up the court for the Knights, Cole Caton working against Ashton Palmer of the Vikings, finds himself in the corner, able to get past Ashton. Saxon with it. Knights working it around, had it in the corner for a second. Great ball movement, trying to get the Vikings flustered. Saxon with it. 7 seconds on the shot clock. Deep 3, short. One of the few misses. Lone Peak gets it back, misses again. Vikings come away with it. Jackson Brown with the ball.
Off his foot.
Errant pass off the foot of the Vikings. Ashton Palmer goes out of bounds. Lone Peak basketball. 0.7 seconds left. Saxon will just touch it and hand it right back to the ref. That will be the end of the 3rd quarter. Vikings down big, 61-34. 8 minutes of basketball are all that remain here in Pleasant Grove. Back after the quarter, Saxon Young getting the ball for the Knights. 3, Saxon, short off the rim. One of his few misses. Lone Peak gets it, the putback and the foul off of the hands of Skylar Andrioli. And quickly into the third quarter, Lone Peak gets the bucket and the foul, up 63-34.
Yeah, all the momentum is with Lone Peak right now. And so PG's just got to stay the course, keep fighting, keep trying to get the passes, the rebounds, the blocks, you know, getting the ball, moving around on offense and hanging in there and chipping away at the lead the best they can.
Vikings looking to get the offense going, down big. Corner 3, off target, rebound goes their way. Shot and the foul, able to fall off of the hands of Kyler Gents. For the Vikings, a big time play there, trying to cut into the Lone Peak lead. It's not dead yet for the Vikings, but it isn't looking very good. Down 36-63. Palindrome scores are the worst unless you're the one winning. The and one falls for the Vikings, 37. Now the full court press and potentially foul-a-thon is on.
So if you're PG right now, this is the second game of your season. It's a good test against a 6A former region rival. You got 8 minutes left to show that you've got what it takes to keep up with these guys for a quarter. So if you're PG, your mentality right now is early in the season, use this as an opportunity to develop and impress and show yourself that you can turn things around and kind of set the tone for the rest of the season.
Preston White getting the bucket there, up and off the glass. Vikings theoretically still in it. Blocked at the rim! Number 4, Jackson Brown said, no you don't, get that out of here.
Hey, I've seen a lot of good, solid number 4s come through PG High School, and Jackson Brown is holding up that standard.
Jackson Brown big on the defensive end there for the Vikings. And now it's 4-on-4 Crew Fotheringham, Jackson Brown 1-on-1. As I say that, gets it down to Saxon Young. The shot, mid-range, no good, airballed it. Late foul called. Saxon will be at the free throw line shooting 2. 6:30 left. I'm saying the wrong name. That is Cole Catton. Either or. I have no idea at this point.
We'll go with Catton.
Catton, great. First free throw good from Cole Catton of Lone Peak. Pushes it out to 64. And this has been the biggest lead and blowout that we have covered all day. The first few games were close heading down the stretch. This one, not so much, as it has essentially been Lone Peak from start to finish. Vikings looking to get something going, running around like a bunch of chickens without a head. Errant pass taken away by the Knights, number 35. Somehow not listed on Max Preps. Still can't give you a name for everybody. Drive, hoop, and the harm. Skylar Andrioli showing up big. Him and Saxon Young have been impressive really all game, but especially down the stretch. Knights at 67, Vikings 39. Skylar Andrioli at the line shooting the and one. Shot up, off the rim and in. Whistle blows, substitution for the Vikings. In comes number 11, Kyler Gents, and number 32, Brennan Blackett. Vikings working against the Lone Peak zone. Get the open three in the wing. Can't connect. Whistle blows. Stays on this side. I believe over the back called on number 3, Skylar Andrioli of the night. Vikings off the inbound. Preston White to inbound. Following the foul, in comes number 32, Logan Brimhall, playing with 4 fouls. Watch for him to potentially foul out late in this game. Whistle blows. Foul on the other 30, 35.
What you like to see out of PG is that they're not giving up. They're continuing to fight. They're working hard.
They're still passing, getting the open shots.
They're playing the game the way you hope they play, down this much in the fourth quarter.
Just unable to connect with a few shots. Would have been big. I can count at least 12 points the Vikings have left on the court, which not enough to get them back in it. Lone Peak up almost 30, but it's enough to make it 18. And that's a whole different ballgame. That's a few threes away from being, that's a 6-score game. Takes me a second to do math and I just end up stuttering, but it's a 6-3 game at that point. And you're talking about a whole new offense being run by the Vikings. Great defense on this side. Not letting Lone Peak get the shot up, getting it down the court quickly for the Vikings. Off the glass and in, Preston White. Impressive defense. Brennan Blackett from the Vikings almost getting the steal on that side, taking it away there. Great play, Mahilo Johansson.
And Kyler Jentz getting on the floor, getting the ball, sacrificing his body for the ball, showing the coach that he wants that playing time. He's setting himself up for later in the season to be on the court.
Foul called on the Vikings. Their 4th, I believe. Second personal foul called on Milo Johansson. Sub for Lone Peak. In comes, I'm trying to find it, Camden Broadhead replacing Wes Capel for the Knights. Vikings in the press, almost a 5-second. Whistle blows out of bounds off of the Knights. Great defense from Andley Ingalls of the Vikings, hitting that one into a Knight, and then the Knight hitting it out of bounds, forcing the pass to go out of bounds. Errant pass there for the Vikings. Not what you hope to follow it up with, but still great defense to force the out of bounds. Great defense there. Great defense all over the place. Milo Johansson going up against, I lost it, Saxon Young, the hot shooter for the Knights. Not letting him get enough space to get a shot up. Barely even has enough space to dribble. Meeting him super far away from the 3-point line. It's what Saxon Young is making him do. He's proven he's got the range all night. Whistle blows. Foul called on the Vikings. I believe that's going to go up against Owen Larson for the Vikings. Correction, that is on Brennan Blackett, his 3rd. 33 and 32 look exactly the same.
So close.
Especially from our vantage point on fingers.
Yes. You know, with Lone Peak, this is a good PG team. And Lone Peak is coming here and really just taking it to PG. I'm curious to see, you know, the future for Lone Peak in the Region 3, the toughest region in the state for pretty much every sport, and how they're going to be able to compete. It'll be interesting to see how the season goes in 6A with our old Region foe and our old Region 3.
Expect we will likely see Lone Peak at least a high seed in the tournament come this postseason, if not playing for a championship. As whistle blows over the back foul called on, I believe that's going to go against Camden Broadhead of Lone Peak. Yes, it's his 4th foul. Watch for him to foul out now too. 3:45 left. It appears he will sub out. As I was saying, I fully expect Lone Peak to be in the championship conversation, definitely likely playing for the 6A basketball championship, just like we saw in football. Unable to get the result, lost to Corner Canyon, but still playing for the I almost said national, for the state championship.
Well, you know, you get when you get to the end of the season, you look back on your schedule at the teams that you played early on. My sense is that Lone Peak's going to have a great season, and when PG at the end of their season also is going to have a great season, and you're going to look back on this game if you're PG, and you're going to think, you know, that was a solid Lone Peak team that we faced. And you know, with PG, you lose this game pretty bad, but over time, I think it's gonna show that Lone Peak's a solid team. And the flip side of that, Lone Peak, at the end of the season, is going to look at PG's record, and they're going to see that they beat a pretty good PG team. And so I look at both these teams, and I think there's going to be a good future season for both of them. You know, obviously Lone Peak is showing it tonight. I think PG over time they're going to be okay, except for that pass. You got to fix that, right, Coleman?
Yeah.
We'll be okay though. PG will be all right.
Building off of what you were saying, is essentially the equivalent in high school basketball of a quad 1 win at the next level. Meaning, regardless, for both teams, this was a great game. Vikings scoring almost 45 points against Lone Peak. Especially keeping in mind everything that's happened around these two schools. Vikings moving down to 5A this year. Lone Peak staying at 6. This is a good loss. This is a 5A team putting up 45 against a 6A team. Huge game for both sides.
Yeah.
Likely not going to end up the result that you wanted as a Vikings fan, but still a good game against a hard-fought team.
Well, and we get to see now maybe a little of the future for a few years down the road. Victor Lopez just checked in. He's a freshman. I believe he's the only freshman on the varsity team, and so we'll get to see him with a few minutes.
As well as Nate McDonald, the sophomore.
Yeah, Nate's in too, so it'll be fun to see these guys now, see what they can do against, looks like still a lot of the Lone Peak starters.
Or at least the experienced Lone Peak players. Lots of seniors and juniors on the court at the moment for the Knights. Shooting for the Knights, Jaden Hughes, I believe shooting 1 and 1. Knights in the bonus, not quite in the double. Maybe he's just shooting 2.
He's struggled at the free throw line tonight. Let's see if he can get the reverse curse. He'll hit one in now, because I mentioned that he was struggling. What do you think, Coleman?
There's a chance. He missed the first one. Misses the second. Lone Peak gets the board, gets it back out to him, gets the matchup against the freshman Victor Lopez. Good defense.
Good pass.
Lone Peak unable to get the bucket. Vikings come away with the board. Owen Larson bringing it up the court, kicks it out to Ritter. I forget his last name. Kicked it anyway. Lopez 3, no good. Foul called on Brenner Turley of the Vikings. Lone Peak will be shooting 2. Looking to break 70 here against Pleasant Grove. Lone Peak playing with a bunch of 2K generated characters, no 43 listed on the roster. John Doe shooting free throws. Misses the second. Owen Larson comes away with the board, throws it right to the Knights. Bad passes plaguing the Vikings. Fortunately, Lone Peak can't buy a bucket until that one.
Yeah, got to box out, get the rebounds. You can't give him an open, easy rebound and put back like that.
Vikings unable to corral that pass. Almost goes out of bounds. Instead, they save it and throw it right to Lone Peak. Trying to do something with it. It's a bunch of numbers that don't exist. Foul called on the play, likely against Adley Ingalls, the senior forward of the Vikings. His third. Logan Smith, courtesy of the public address announcer, shooting the free throws, misses the first off the back iron. Second free throw coming for the Knights. In comes Jackson for Lone Peak, one of their sophomores. Brenner kicks it out to Lone Peak, bringing it up the court quickly. Cannot see a number. Ty Bergen now working with it. Shot in and out. Vikings get the board.
Yeah, this is a good chance for both teams now. The coaches have gone deep into the bench, and it's a good chance for these players to get some experience, maybe for this year, for next year. I know as a player, your first time on the court as a varsity player is something that you remember, and some of these players, they're getting that experience right now, first varsity minutes.
Shot no good, foul called on the putback. 43 will be shooting free throws. John Doe back at the line. First free throw off the back iron. The Lone Peak fans ready to go nuts for the underclassman, scoring his first varsity point.
We'll see if he gets it here.
I can't think of another reason why he wouldn't be listed. Bucket good. In for the Knights, number 30.
They're deep in the roster. Deep enough that we don't have it on Max Preps, huh?
So deep in the roster that it would take me more time to find it than to just say their number. Wing three, air ball from the Vikings. Lone Peak can just run out the clock. Shot clock turned off, 27 seconds left.
Yeah, these guys got their chance to play. Something tells me they don't want to run out the clock. They want to get their minutes, and you can't blame them, right?
The most aggressive 26 seconds of basketball.
This is good for them.
Lie ahead of us.
Good for both teams to get the experience out there.
Ty Bergen at the line. I think that's a three. Hits the first free throw. Yeah, number 13, Ty Bergen. Looking to get the Knights up to 75, that much closer to the 30-point win. Gets the second free throw, and the Vikings looking like they're actually going to run the offense. Looked for a second like they were just going to run it out. Owen got the ball tipped away from him. Gets it back, the mid-range, no good. Ends up in the hands of the Vikings. Floater off the back iron. Lone Peak gets the board. Working with it, Timothy Amberry shoots the heave, no good, and that will be the final score. Knights beat the Vikings 75-46.
Coleman, thanks for letting me hop on with you. This was fun.
Thanks for having me.
You do a good job.
Thanks for staying. Do you want to stay for the outro?
No, you take it away.
Right. Lone Peak led as close to wire as you can get. Vikings scoring the first point. Since then, it was all Lone Peak. Up next for the Knights, they will face Springville on the 25th at 7. The Vikings will play Layton Christian tomorrow, Thursday.
Wednesday.
What day is today? Monday. They'll play Wednesday at 4 against Layton Christian.
Right
Their
here.
second game of Hoopfest here in Valhalla. Until then, I'm Coleman Keel. I've been joined in the second half of this game by
Mr. John Hanks.
John Hanks, the principal of Pleasant Grove High School. And until Thursday, Wednesday, whenever we play next, until the next Vikings game, we will see you on PGSN.